The room fell dead silent when my mom stood up at my graduation party, wineglass in hand, and declared, "Since I paid for your education, you owe me half your salary forever." I laughed, loud, uncontrollable, the kind that shakes your whole body, because it sounded so absurd, like a punchline to a joke no one else got. Then she reached into her bag, pulled out a folder, and handed it to me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. My laugh died in my throat, replaced by a cold, sinking dread as I flipped it open and saw the contract. Pages of numbers, dates, demands. My dad's lawyer stepped forward, calm as ever, and said, "Actually, that's not how this works." But in that moment, I knew my life was about to unravel. My name's Alex Carter. I'm 23, fresh out of college with a degree in software engineering, the kind of guy who'd rather debug code than deal with people's drama. I grew up in a small house on the edge of town, just me and my mom, Linda, after my parents split when I was 5. She was a single mom by choice, fought tooth and nail to keep me away from my dad, Tom, always saying he didn't care, didn't pay, didn't matter. I believed her for years, swallowed her guilt trips like they were gospel. College was my ticket out, 4 years of late nights, ramen, and a dream of building something big in tech. I thought graduation would be my freedom. Instead, it was the day my mom tried to chain me down. The party was at our house. String lights looped around the backyard, a folding table groaning under chips and soda, friends and family milling around with plastic cups. I'd just finished my speech, some clumsy thank you to everyone who'd shown up, still buzzing from the high of tossing my cap in the air that morning. Then Mom cleared her throat, loud and deliberate, like she was about to toast me. "I've got something to say," she announced, her voice carrying over the chatter. Heads turned, eyes curious. She stood there in her floral dress, blonde hair pinned back, looking every bit the proud mom, until she wasn't. "Since I paid for your education, Alex, you owe me half your salary. Forever." I blinked, then laughed, waiting for the punchline. The room didn't laugh with me. It went quiet. So quiet I could hear the ice shifting in someone's drink. "What?" I said, grin fading. She stepped closer, handing me that folder like it was a bill at a restaurant. "You can laugh," she said, her tone sweet but edged. "But I had this drawn up ages ago. It's legally binding." I opened it, my hands shaky, and saw the breakdown. Tuition, rent, textbooks, even gas money from holiday visits home. Every penny she'd ever spent on me, tallied up like I was a business expense. The last page hit hardest. "Failure to comply grants Linda Carter the right to pursue legal action for repayment of a personal loan." A loan. My stomach twisted, a sour knot forming as the word sank in, heavy and wrong. She'd never called it that, not once. I'd asked her point blank before college, "Are you sure you can afford this?" She'd smiled, patted my cheek, said, "It's an investment in your future, sweetie." Her voice so warm it felt like a hug. Now here she was, in front of everyone, my girlfriend Maya, my cousin Jake, Professor Webb from school, acting like I'd signed my life away. The backyard lights buzzed above us, casting jagged shadows across the folding tables, the half-eaten cake, the faces frozen in shock. I looked up, my voice tight, barely holding back the tremor of disbelief and hurt. "Mom, you never said this was a loan?" She tilted her head, feigning surprise, her blonde curls glinting like a halo she didn't deserve. "Oh, Alex, of course it was. You didn't think I'd just give you all that money, did you?" She laughed, a light, airy sound that scraped against my nerves like nails on a chalkboard, and glanced around, like she expected applause, a chorus of agreement from the guests. "You're an adult now. Adults pay their debts." My heart slammed against my ribs, a chaotic mix of betrayal and rage boiling up inside me. Maya edged closer, her hand brushing my arm, her dark eyes wide with worry. "What the hell is this, Alex?" she whispered, her voice low but sharp, cutting through the haze. I couldn't answer. My throat was locked, my mind reeling back to every moment she'd promised me freedom, every time she'd said she was proud. Jake shuffled over, his lanky frame slouched, a soda can dangling from his hand like he didn't know what to do with it. "Dude, is she for real?" he muttered, his brow creased, glancing between me and Mom like he was waiting for the punchline. I wanted to laugh again, to brush it off, but the contract felt like a brick in my hands, pulling me under. Professor Webb stood near the back, arms crossed, his gray beard catching the light, his eyes narrowed like he was already suspicious. I met his gaze and he gave me a small nod, quiet, steady, a lifeline in the chaos. Mom kept talking, her voice climbing, smug and sure. "I've sacrificed everything for you, Alex," she said, turning to the crowd, her wineglass clutched like a prop. "2 jobs, sleepless nights, scraping by, all so you could have this future. Now you're going to repay me. It's only right." The silence stretched, thick and heavy, the air buzzing with tension. My face burned, anger crashing into embarrassment, betrayal slicing deep. "Right?" I said, my voice louder now, shaking with something raw and jagged. "You told me it was a gift. You said you wanted me to succeed." She shrugged, too casual, her smile a razor's edge. "And you will succeed. Half your salary's a small price for all I've given you." I stared at her, my chest tight, seeing her not as the mom who'd tucked me in, but as something colder, a stranger with a ledger. Then Dad cut in, his voice a low anchor pulling me back. "Well, actually," he said from the corner, steady and deep, breaking the spell. He'd been silent all night, leaning against the fence in his faded denim jacket, arms crossed, watching like a hawk. Every head swiveled to him, and he nodded at Henry Grayson, his lawyer, a lean guy with gray hair and a suit that screamed money. Henry stepped forward, adjusting his glasses, a folder tucked under his arm like a weapon. "Ms. Carter," he said, addressing Mom with a cool formality that made her flinch, "we got wind of your document a few weeks ago. I'd like to clarify some things for Alex." I blinked, my head snapping to Dad. "You knew?" I asked, my voice cracking, a mix of relief and confusion bubbling up. He met my eyes, his gaze soft but unyielding. "Suspected," he said. "She's been dropping hints since you graduated." Mom's grip on her glass tightened, her knuckles white, her composure slipping. "Excuse me?" she snapped, her voice pitching high. Henry opened his folder, his tone flat, methodical. "First, you can't enforce repayment without a signed agreement predating the expenses. There's no contract, no promissory note, your claim's dead in the water. Second, verbal promises of parental support with no repayment terms don't hold up, especially when we've got texts and emails where you assured Alex this was a gift." My breath caught, a flicker of hope piercing the panic. Dad had proof she'd lied. Mom's face darkened, her lips a thin slash. "That's nonsense," she spat. "I've got proof too, emails, texts." Henry cut her off, smooth and sharp. "We've seen them. They show you promising to cover his costs, no strings. You can't rewrite the past, Linda." The crowd stirred, whispers breaking out, shock, discomfort, a few nods like they'd always known she was slippery. Mrs. Ellis, Mom's co-worker, edged toward the back, her face tight with embarrassment. Kyle, my high school buddy, a stocky guy with a buzz cut who'd driven 2 hours for this, spoke up from the picnic table. "Wait, Mrs. C, you're saying Alex owes you forever? That's messed up." Mom whirled on him, her eyes flashing. "Stay out of this, Kyle," she barked, but he just shrugged, unbothered, and the murmurs grew. She'd lost them, the room, the story, the grip she'd counted on. Dad stepped closer, his voice low and lethal. "If you want to take this to court, Linda, we're ready, but it won't end well for you." Her eyes darted around, Jake's confusion, Maya's quiet fury, Webb's disapproval, and I saw the panic take hold, her plan cracking. She'd thought I'd fold, too stunned or ashamed to fight in front of everyone. She hadn't expected Dad and Henry lying in wait, but she doubled down, her voice trembling with rage. "Oh, I see," she said, glaring at me. "You think you're so clever, don't you? You think you can take everything from me and walk away?" I shook my head, my chest aching with the weight of her words. "I didn't take anything. You offered it." Her face twisted, a snarl breaking through. "Ungrateful," she spat. "After all I've done, raised you alone, worked myself raw, you owe me, Alex." Dad scoffed, stepping between us. "Alone? You kept him from me, Linda. I sent money. You sent it back. Don't play the saint now." Her hands clenched, her breath hitching, and for a second I thought she'd hurl the glass. Instead, she snatched her purse, her movements sharp and jerky. "You'll regret this," she hissed at me, her eyes burning with something dark, hate, desperation, both. She stormed out, shoving past Kyle, the door slamming so hard the windows shook. The silence was suffocating. I sank onto a chair, my legs jelly, the contract still in my lap. Maya sat beside me, her hand warm on my back. "You okay?" she asked, soft but steady. I exhaled, hands trembling. "No idea." Dad crouched in front of me, his hand on my shoulder. "This isn't over," he said, his voice grim. "She's not done." I nodded, dread coiling tight in my gut. He was right. 2 weeks later, I was crashing at Maya's, dodging Mom's calls, sleeping on her lumpy couch, when the letter came. It was in a sleek envelope, a law firm's logo glaring up at me, and my stomach dropped as I tore it open. Demand for payment, it read, $176,000 for educational and associated expenses, with a threat to sue if I didn't pay in 30 days. My hands went cold, the paper crinkling as I gripped it, my pulse racing. "She's lost it," I muttered, sinking into the cushions. Maya rolled over from her desk, where she was debugging code, her dark hair a mess. "What now?" she asked, snatching the letter. Her jaw dropped. "She's suing you? The party wasn't enough?" I nodded, my throat tight. "Guess not." I called Dad, my voice shaky. He answered fast. "Send it over," he said, calm but clipped. I snapped a photo and texted it, and an hour later, he called back with Henry on the line. "Figured she'd pull this," Dad said, a tired edge to his voice. "She's relentless." Henry jumped in, brisk and sure. "No case, Alex. Same flaws as before. But if she pushes, we're not just defending, we're hitting back." I swallowed, nerves buzzing. "Hitting back how?" Henry's tone sharpened. "We'll bury her." Maya dragged me to her laptop that night, her fingers flying. "Let's dig," she said, her eyes glinting with that fierce spark I'd always leaned on. We'd met in a coding class, bonded over late nights and bad coffee, and she'd been my rock through Mom's guilt trips. We cracked an old email account Mom used for my college stuff, her password still my birthday, lazy as hell. What we found made my skin crawl. Emails with Jessica Lane, Mom's coworker, a mousy woman with a fake smile. "Get the loans in his name," Mom wrote. "He won't notice." Jessica replied, "Extra for the condo flip, clean profit." My stomach churned. "Loans?" I whispered. Maya dug deeper, pulling records she shouldn't have, don't ask. "She took out student loans under your name," she said, her voice tight. "Way more than tuition. She's been skimming." Next morning, Professor Webb called, my advisor, the guy who'd pushed me to dream big. "Alex," he said, tense, "found discrepancies in financial aid logs, loans in your name, unsigned. I've reported it to the feds." My mouth went dry. "Reported Mom?" "Yes," he said, grim. "She's tied to a bigger scheme, other students too." I thanked him, my head spinning, and called Dad. He handed me a box of old papers at his place. Bank statements, emails, court docs proving he'd sent support, offered to pay for school, and Mom had rejected it all, building her martyr act. "She wanted you dependent," he said, his jaw tight. "Control, not cash." Mom filed her lawsuit a month later, claiming $176,000. Dad and Henry countered, suing for fraud, distress, misuse of funds. We had it all. Maya's emails, Webb's report, Dad's records. In court, Mom sat prim, crying fake tears. "I just wanted to help him," she sobbed. Henry shredded her, showed the loans, the condo buy with Jessica, the lies. The judge ruled, her case tossed, ordered to repay $200,000. She glared at me, venomous. "Your fault," she hissed. I held her gaze. "No, yours." She unraveled after, calls, texts, voicemails, begging, then raging. "You've ruined me," she screamed in one. I blocked her. Then she showed up at my job, a startup with Maya, yelling in the lobby, hair wild. My manager, Chris, called security. They dragged her out as she shouted, "You owe me!" Chris clapped my shoulder. "Family, huh?" I nodded, relief washing over me. Jessica flipped a week later, spilling to Detective Sarah Klein, a tough cop with a buzz cut, who'd taken Webb's tip. "Linda planned it," Jessica said, cutting a deal. Klein called me. "Federal charges, fraud, identity theft, 2 years. I didn't go to that trial. Mom lost everything, house, job, freedom. I'm building now. Our app's taking off. Dad's closer than ever. But last week, an email hit, no sender, a photo, Mom, pre-prison, with a guy in a suit outside a bank, smirking. A note. She's not done." My pulse spiked, unease creeping in. I sent it to Henry. "We'll watch," he said. Then yesterday, Chris called me to his office, his face pale. "Someone's digging into our funding. Offshore accounts, shady stuff. Might be coincidence. I froze, Mom's smirk flashing in my mind. She's in a cell, broke, alone, her life ash. But she's still clawing, a ghost with nothing left but spite. I'm free, thriving, but I feel her shadow. I'll fight it. I always do. That night I couldn't sleep. The photo burned into my brain. Mom's smug grin, the stranger's sharp suit, the bank's glass doors glinting behind them. I paced Maya's apartment, the city lights bleeding through the blinds, my bare feet cold on the hardwood. Maya found me at 3 a.m., slumped on the couch, staring at my phone. "You're freaking out," she said, dropping beside me, her voice groggy but firm. "Talk." I showed her the email again, my hands unsteady. "She's in prison, Maya. How's she doing this?" She frowned, pulling the laptop onto her knees. "Let's trace it." Her fingers danced over the keys, lines of code scrolling fast. After an hour, she sighed. "It's a dead end, routed through some sketchy VPN. But this guy," she tapped the photo, "he's no random. Look at the pin on his lapel. Looks like a corporate logo." I squinted, my gut tightening. "You think she's got someone on the outside?" Maya nodded, her eyes dark. "She's desperate, Alex. Desperate people don't stop. They adapt." The next day I met Dad at his place, a small house on the edge of town, cluttered with tools and old vinyls. He brewed coffee, the smell grounding me as I showed him the photo. His face hardened, a shadow crossing his eyes. "I've seen that guy," he said, his voice low, almost reluctant. "Years ago, when your mom and I were still fighting over you. He was a fixer, handled dirty work for people with money." My stomach dropped. "A fixer?" Dad nodded, setting his mug down. "She must have called in a favor. Probably promised him something big if he pulls this off." I leaned back, my head spinning. "But she's got nothing left. No money, no leverage." Dad's jaw tightened. "She's got hate, Alex. That's enough for some people." Chris called me into the office again that afternoon, his usual chill vibe replaced by a nervous edge. "It's not just digging," he said, shutting the door behind us. "Someone's leaking rumors, saying our funding's tied to offshore fraud. Investors are spooked." My heart sank, a cold sweat breaking out. "Rumors from where?" He shrugged, running a hand through his beard. "No clue. But if this sticks, we're screwed. App's dead before it launches." I clenched my fists, Mom's voice echoing in my head. "You'll regret this." "I think I know who," I said, my voice tight. Chris raised an eyebrow. "Your mom?" I nodded, the pieces clicking. "She's hitting me where it hurts." I called Henry that night, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "She's behind this. I know it. Can we stop her?" He paused, then said, "If she's using a proxy, it's tricky. But I'll get Klein on it. See if she's made calls from prison." Detective Klein met me the next day, her notepad out, her eyes sharp. "Check the logs," she said. "She's been talking to a burner number, 5 calls in the last month. Can't trace it yet, but it's active." My chest tightened. "So she's planning something." Klein nodded. "She's got no resources, but she's got will. I've seen inmates pull worse with less." A week later, Jake showed up at my desk, his face pale. "Dude, you need to see this," he said, handing me his phone. It was a news article, small blog, but viral. Startup linked to student loan scam. My name was in it, tied to Mom's fraud, twisted to make it look like I'd been in on it. My blood ran cold, my hands shaking as I scrolled. "This is bullshit," I muttered. Jake nodded, his voice low. "It's spreading. Twitter's blowing up. People think you're dirty." I called Maya, who was already on it. "It's a smear," she said, furious. "Someone's paying bots to push it. I'm tracing the source. Give me time." I hung up, my head pounding, the walls closing in. Mom wasn't just clawing, she was trying to burn me down. Henry filed an injunction that day, claiming defamation, while Klein dug into prison records. She called me 2 days later. "Got a hit," she said. "The burner's tied to a guy named Victor Reyes, ex-con, works freelance for shady clients. Matches your dad's fixer description." My gut twisted. "Where is he?" "Off the grid," she said. "But he's in the city. I'll find him." I thanked her, my mind racing. Victor, Mom's last card, played from a cell with nothing but spite. The next week was chaos. Investors pulled back, Chris scrambled to save the app, Maya worked non-stop to kill the smear. Then Klein called. Caught him, she said, her voice clipped. Raided his place, found emails from your mom, sent through a guard she bribed. She promised him half your company if he tanked it. My breath caught, relief and rage colliding. She's done? Klein grunted. For now. He's in custody, guards fired, she's in solitary. But she's still breathing, Alex. Watch your back. I walked into the office the next day, Chris grinning. Maya cracked it, proved the rumors were fake. Investors are back. I exhaled, a weight lifting, but not fully. Mom's in a hole, solitary, broke, her last pawn gone. But that photo haunts me. Victor's caught, but who took it? Who sent it? I'm standing tall, my app's alive, Dad and Maya by my side, but I feel her out there, a shadow I can't shake. She's got nothing left to lose, and that's when she's dangerous. Life's a fight, isn't it? Mom taught me freedom's a battle, won with grit and allies. Trust can build you up or break you down. I'm still figuring out which. She's down, suffering, but I'm not naive. She's not dead yet, Ed. What do you think? Can she still strike from there, or am I safe at last? Hit me with your thoughts below. Ever fought a ghost like this? Share your story. I'm listening.